understand.
Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today are two individuals from an organization we've never heard from, Honor Flight, Top of Virginia. And, you know, you're thinking about it, we're going to go out and fly airplanes, but that's kind of, in a way, is what we're doing. Dianne Klopp, right? Dianne Klopp, you know, she spells it with all these E's on the end, so it's kind of hard to remember all these different spellings. Dianne Klopp and
Bill North.
Bill North. Now, you know, as an old person, you think I could remember all these names, but I didn't write them down. But I'm just so interested in what your organization does. So, Diane, tell us a little bit about Honor Flight, Top of Virginia.
Okay. So we are a local hub of the Honor Flight Network.
Okay.
The Honor Flight Network is a nationwide organization. There are 126 hubs in 46 states. And most people in this area, if they've ever heard of Honor Flight, it's from the people flying in to Dulles or to National.
That's what I was thinking of. You know, we're flying. I know we're moving. I don't want to steal your thunder. You tell us.
So basically what our mission is to honor our country's most senior veterans, those who served in World War II, Korea, or Vietnam era. Anybody who served prior to 1976. We want to honor them with a day trip to Washington, D.C. so that they can see their memorials.
Right.
And so back in 2004, the World War II Memorial was finally being built 60 years after the fact. And there was a gentleman by the name of Earl Morse. He was a physician's assistant at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, and his patients were World War II veterans. And they were so excited that the World War II Memorial was finally being built.
Finally. Yeah, I remember that.
And they just wanted to go see it. And so Earl kept talking to these patients over time. Did you go see your memorial? Did you go see it? And for whatever reason, they weren't able to get there.
Sure.
They didn't have the financial means. They couldn't get in the car and drive themselves halfway across the country. Their family couldn't bring them. And so Earl happened to be a private pilot, and he went to his favorite World War II veteran, and he said, you know, if I put you on my plane and fly you to D.C., would you like to go see the World War II Memorial? And so they did, and they had the most amazing day. And so Earl went back to his buddies at the Aero Club at Wright-Patterson, and he said, this is what I want to do. I want to fly veterans to D.C. to see their memorials. And so that was the first honor flight. They had 6 little planes, flew 12 veterans, and now it's grown to this huge organization. We recently celebrated our 500,000th veteran being flown to D.C. And so for many years, I went to Dulles and I greeted the planes as they came in. I had heard that they wanted people to come and cheer as the veterans got off the plane. And if you've ever been to the airport when one of those is coming in, it's pretty special.
I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it.
And so at the time, my kids were very small. They were little Cub Scouts, and I thought it would be important to teach them patriotism and respect for veterans. And so I loaded up my son's Cub Scout pack, and I took him up there, and after one time, I was just hooked.
You are hooked.
I was hooked. And so after many years of doing this, one day I was standing there waiting for a flight to come in, and I just thought, you know what, it's really great that we are doing this for the veterans flying in from across the country, but why aren't we doing this for the veterans here in the Shenandoah Valley?
We just assume everybody's going to go, but it's difficult. As you get a little older, I can't even remember your name, so it's, D.C. just seems so far away, or it's just hard to get around, especially if you're on a wheelchair or limited funds and your health.
Dealing with the traffic and HOV rules. It's a mess. I mean, I grew up in Alexandria, and I would never go to D.C.
You know, most people that live there, so when I lived down there, and I said, well, I don't want to go there. You know, we stay away. I had some cousins or someone. I haven't been in downtown. They live like 3 miles away. I haven't been there in 40 years.
Yeah. So we do the honor flight experience just like the people flying in from across the country, but without the plane.
Right.
So from here, we just take a tour bus. It's the big 55-person motor coaches with the bathroom on board. That's always a big question. But we want to give local veterans that same day of honor, that same honor flight experience, just to let them know that we have not forgotten about their service. Right. And so we have a trip coming up from
Okay.
Winchester on Saturday, June 3rd, and that's what we're trying to get the word out about to get more veterans signed up
So
for that
you
trip.
have some slots that are open.
We still have some slots available, yes.
So we're looking for people that have served prior to 1976?
Yes, and we don't care if they served during peacetime. We don't care if they never left U.S. soil. If they served, and they deserve to be honored.
Right. And if you can get around a little better than most, you can help out.
You can help out, but you have to be younger to help out.
Yeah. Younger. Well,
That's where the guardians come in,
Right.
Mike. The guardians are those who between the ages of 18 and 65 who are there to basically work with the veteran, make
Okay.
sure they don't lose track of the veteran, they're staying with them.
Right.
And I had the great honor, and I'll share with you how I got to learn about this, but my son, who is a veteran from the 90s, who served in Korea for a year and served his country in his way for the United States Army. He became my guardian. Although I'm pretty ambulatory, I could get around
Sure.
pretty well. But he was told, "Don't let your father go away, and don't lose him. Don't lose track."
Kind of like your kids in the grocery store, right? They say they're going to stay by, but
Yeah.
and it's true. When you go to these memorials, you are engaged into it, and you just start reading names and walking around and talking to people. Next thing you know, the time just gets away from you.
Yeah,
And-
for
and
sure.
you're down at the other end, and where am I at?
Right. So the Guardian is a great support system for the veteran, especially for our older veterans, the World War II and Korean
Right.
War veterans. And Diane can talk about that and some of those folks. But even during my era of Vietnam era, I
Right.
served from 70 to 73. Although I did not go in country to Vietnam, I served in California, and that was my base for my period of time. And but it was a time period of great turmoil within our country. A lot of people were not happy. However, when we raised our hand, as I understand, you're a veteran as well
As
from
well, yes.
Air Force. You raise your hand, you're serving your country. You're doing what you've been asked to do. And so that's what we were a part of. So,
Yeah, people don't realize that we have conflicts all around the world. Some are more intense than others.
Yes.
I know when I was stationed at the time, I went at Pope Air Force Base in the middle of Fort Bragg. You know where that is?
Yeah, yeah.
I always tell people the story real quick about when the movie MASH came out, and they showed it 20 times a day on the Air Force Base, but the commander at Fort Bragg wouldn't allow it to be shown in the theaters. Those Army guys just flooded the base, and it was hilarious.
Sure.
Just a funny movie. But anyway,
Yeah.
we went to two places when we left there. We went to Vietnam or we went to Greenland. And so I went to Greenland. I knew how the system worked. I volunteered for Vietnam and got sent to Greenland. But I tell people we fought the Russians on the DU line. Yeah, and there was a big conflict there at the time. The Cold War was a big thing going on. So people just don't realize of all the things that our militaries really around the world, and it's an important thing that we need to serve. But these veterans, especially World War II, I've interviewed quite a few of them over the time, and they're getting up there in years.
Yeah.
They're
There aren't
they're
very
leaving
many
us.
left.
They're
Yeah.
leaving us. I remember a few years ago they were saying like 1,500 a day
Yeah.
are passing,
Yeah.
and it's probably greater than that now. But I know they're up there in their 90s at least.
When the Korean vets are all in their 90s as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Hard to,
yeah,
It just
yeah.
makes us seem old, doesn't it, Bill?
Yeah.
I just don't feel that old.
And just so people know, we do take plenty of wheelchairs. So if anybody has mobility issues,
Right.
it's not a problem for us. We will happily push them in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
That's what their guardian's there for. So we don't want anybody
might-
anybody who wants to go on the trip, we want them to be able to go.
They might start off walking, but after a day, all of a sudden, I'm a little. But these memorials. So where do you go? It depends on the group. Like you try to go to the. Or
No,
you're,
we do the same itinerary. So let me just kind of give you the whole rundown
Sure,
of the day.
that'd be great.
So for the Winchester trip, we're leaving from Shenandoah University. And the veteran will check in early in the morning. Every veteran will get an honor flight polo shirt to wear. That's
Okay.
their uniform for the day. And then we have breakfast, and we have a professional photographer that takes their picture because we give everybody a photo book.
I saw this book here. This is something that the Front Rail Rotary Club helped you with,
Yep.
right?
They
It's a
sponsored
really,
last
It's a really
year's
nice.
book.
Mark, move in here. This is a really nice, like a Shutterstock book here. We'll give them a plug. But you have pictures of the veteran. This is something that they themselves and their family will be really remember. It's a nice token. That's a nice touch.
For sure.
So we take a picture of every veteran, and then we go get on the buses, and we head downtown, and we go to the World War II Memorial, Korean War Memorial, the Vietnam Wall, We normally have lunch at the Air Force Memorial, and everything's provided: breakfast, lunch, dinner, no cost whatsoever to the veterans.
Lots of drinks as well.
Lots of water, sodas, Gatorade. We don't want them to pay for anything.
All right.
So we go to the Air Force Memorial for lunch. We go by the Marine Corps Memorial, Iwo Jima. And then my absolute favorite stop of the day, kind of the grand finale of the day, is the changing of the guard.
Oh, yeah, it's something
at
to watch,
Arlington
isn't it?
National Cemetery. And we are one of the few groups that's actually allowed to drive the tour bus right up to the Tomb of the Unknowns. If you've ever been to Arlington by yourself,
Yes.
you either have to walk uphill or ride that little trolley. We don't do that. We drive right up to the Tomb of the Unknowns so they don't have to walk. And then we're really blessed this time. We will be participating in a wreath laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknowns. And we have special front row access viewing for the veterans. They're right up front. And then after that, we come back and we have dinner catered by Mission Barbecue, and their spouse is invited to join them for dinner. And we have kind of a big surprise for them when they get back, because the Vietnam veterans especially did not get a nice welcome home.
Right.
I mean, we've heard so many horrific stories about the way they were treated when they came back. And so we know we can't change that, but we want them to know that we don't feel that way, and we are so thankful for their service. So we try to give them the welcome home that they never got. So we have the fire department come and hang the huge flag over the road. We try to get as many people from the public out as possible to just line the street and wave the flags and cheer as they come off the buses. We have a band that plays big band music and period dancers to dance, and we just want to give them that welcome home that they never got.
It's a great service. Like I said, that's a memory that they'll, not just themselves, but their family as well, because they've heard these stories and all through their lives, and this is one nice send-off, so to speak.
Yeah, and a lot of the Vietnam veterans, we've heard that they weren't able to get to the wall. It's just too emotional for them. And obviously, we're not going to force them to go. If they don't want to go, they can, sit down the street at Korea or just people watch, whatever they want to do. But so many veterans have told us that when they're now on the bus with 50 other guys
It feels it's a
that
safe
know
trip.
what they've done, they're able to go there and get that closure that they've never been able to get before.
When you're with like-minded, and it's a camaraderie and the fellowship that you have, it gives you that courage to take that step out. So.
Yeah.
Especially those who served in Vietnam in country. They connect with other Marines and other Air Force as well as Navy and Army folks, and all of a sudden they realize you were chewing the same dirt as your brethren did.
Exactly.
And so there's a whole support system just because they're with like-minded people.
We're seeing a lot of the PTSD come out now in Vietnam. They've survived all this time, and now when they're in their 70s and 80s and 90s, 70s and 80s mostly, they're starting to, come out and get these. My brother-in-law is that way. All of a sudden, one day, his brain triggered it, and that's all he thinks about sometimes, and different things. But yeah, it's he was in the Marine Corps, trained as a radar technician. He said, "I've never seen a radar the whole time." I said, I carried a rifle.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's everyone's what do they say in the Army? Everyone's a grunt,
Yeah, exactly.
something like that.
Yeah.
It's great. This is a great service, and so how many of these trips a year do? You try to do it?
So we currently do 3 trips a year. We're kind of different than other hubs in that we span a big geographical location. So we do 1 trip from Loudoun County.
Okay.
1 trip from Winchester, 1 trip from Harrisonburg.
Okay.
And we don't care where you live. You live in Martinsburg, Pennsylvania.
there,
if you can get to us, we will gladly take you. We don't care where people live. If they can get to us, we're happy to take them.
That's great. And we really try to do all we can to support veterans, and the groups will be out at Memorial Day weekend, and there's a lot of activities going on there. And it's just, like I said, veterans are forgotten. And I think our young people are missing out by not joining the military and learning that experience that you can only get there. There's nothing like, I tell people all the time, it's the greatest thing you can do. And, I think we're missing that.
Right.
missing that. It's an important thing.
We have people that come from quite a distance. Pennsylvania is one. My son, again, it was my guardian, and works with a VFW up in Greencastle,
Right.
Pennsylvania. He knew a lot of the veterans there and encouraged them after going on the trip with me. He said, "You gentlemen have to go." Well, it's too far away. Well, he got a few of them in his car, and they weren't able to go to the Winchester, but they went to Harrisonburg. So they left at
Right.
4:30 in the morning to drive to Harrisonburg to be there in time for the early morning, so forth.
Right.
And so one of the veterans who went, his son, much younger, obviously had a chance to go as his guardian. So
Right.
a father-son connection.
I was going to say
which I
that's really
experienced, yes.
that's important. That's really important because
Absolutely.
a lot of times the children, even your adult children, really don't know what you went through.
Yes.
I don't think our children really realize that until they experience it.
We've had a lot of families too tell us that Dad never talked about
Exactly.
his experience, but after the trip, he's finally sharing and they're
Right.
finding out what he actually did.
Like I said, I can remember I've interviewed, like, say, some 90-year-olds, and once you can break through and you get them talking, a 15-minute interview went 2 hours.
Yeah.
I interviewed a gentleman last year. He's 101 years old, and he really didn't talk much about it. And once he started talking about it,
Sure.
he'd come loose. But yeah, there's a lot of veterans like that. We just don't really realize how many people, millions and millions of people served
Yeah.
during the wars, and it's just something that we need to do. But this memorial trip, like I said, I've been to several of them, and I can tell you the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, just traveling through on the little bus through Arlington Cemetery is enough to really, just to see the rows lined up, and you just think about, that's the reason we're able to do the things we do today. For us to sit here and talk about it,
Right.
or to sit out there and complain and carry your flag and burn your flag or whatever you want to do, it's those people that died out there that allows you to do that.
Exactly.
And we've had a lot of people that say, "Oh, well, I've seen it before," but I think you can say it's different.
Absolutely different. It is
Especially when you're with a group of
Exactly. And I happened to be standing. I didn't know how it was all going to be arranged. As Diane says, we're given special permission to have special seating around the tomb and watching the changing of the guard, which is magical in itself. Just the way, the discipline of these gentlemen and ladies who, in fact, perform as guards for the tomb. But we had a special, on my trip, a 96-year-old World War II veteran and a 90-year-old Korean War veteran. And they happened to be in wheelchairs, but they were assisted and pushed forward to be able to lay the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown. And the impact that must have been for those two gentlemen. But the gentleman who was in charge of the changing of the guard, he came over and giving instructions. And as Diane said, they never talk because it's a very solemn, quiet occasion. And he looked at the World War II veteran and he says, "Sir, you're the second person I've ever met in my life who was an Army Air Corps member during World War II. The first was my grandfather. Thank you for your service." And I have that happen on video. And it was like a magical moment that this person exchanged something that goes that many generations apart. But that whole experience, it's unforgettable. It's truly unforgettable. And I came back from this trip after learning about it and going, and I said to Diane, "What can I do to help?" She said, "Well, get on the board. Let's help promote it.
You're going to be voluntold."
Yeah, and I haven't quit yet. It's really just impactful. And I said, "There's no excuses. If in fact somebody's in a wheelchair, confined to a wheelchair, Diane can work to get a motor coach that has a wheelchair lift on it. So there's no reason they couldn't go."
Right.
We invite other family members. It could be grandchildren or adult children and so forth to be able to go as a guardian and so forth. The only one we expect not to go would be the spouse. And the reason why, it's amazing the conversation that happened between veterans with another vet. If you were there with your spouse, you might just be talking to that person.
Exactly.
But the spouse is allowed to come back for the dinner and to be enjoyed and then have the experience. Right. But the idea is for the veteran. And now, if the spouse happens to be a veteran as well, of course they can go. And,
but they're going to sit in the other part of the bus.
Well, there might be. Well, like people, both men and women who have had this opportunity, they connect with others, especially with other service personnel. So it's just.
And we had a lot of women that served in Vietnam, and they're like the unsung heroes.
Exactly.
We mentioned the MASH movie in Korea,
right.
But the women were really a vital role in all this not quite a combat role, but they were right there on the front lines.
Yes,
and
yes.
did it. So it's
Yeah,
unsung heroes we have. But this is such a great thing. You guys are a 501c3.
We
so
are.
you can take donations.
We can take donations, but I want to stress there is absolutely no cost for the veteran. And we are just having such a hard time getting people to go on the trip.
Right.
And I don't know if it's just people haven't heard about us or they think, oh, it's really not free. It is absolutely free. We will never ask a veteran to pay anything. So please spread the word. Help us fill up the bus.
And we will tell us when it is again. It's June.
It's Saturday, June 3rd. And they can call me to register.
Okay.
540-692-9197. Or you can go to our website or our
Right.
Facebook page. All the links are on there.
We'll put all those links in the story. Put your number and email and some photographs. We'll take some off. Maybe I've seen all your trips. You've had quite a few trips.
We've done 16 trips so far. We just did our trip out of Loudon, and I'm really proud. We have taken 682 vets so far. 68 of those are World War II veterans.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's great.
And
we're
we don't
losing-
want the Vietnam vets to think, oh, I'm too young, or please, you deserve it. Help us fill the bus.
Yeah.
And as Diane mentioned, so many of the Vietnam veterans were not welcome when they came home.
Right.
And their concern is, well, I lost so many of my buddies, and I don't want to go to the wall. We had one of our Vietnam veterans, if they finally agreed to go, maybe some encouragement, some other veterans. And when he came back, he said, now I can die in peace. I've left my emotions and my feelings to my brethren that I lost over in country there. And now I have peace in my own heart.
Yeah.
So that's the impact that this has, because you're with like-minded people. It's not just with, and it's interesting also when we're walking around from World War II to Korea, and the Korean Memorial has just been redone. It's beautiful. That you see very often during our time in June, you'll see a lot of school children coming along with their teachers, and they will see our colorful shirts, and they will stop and they'll applaud, or they'll say, thank you for your service. I mean, and the veterans are going, wow, these children are also understanding about patriotism and understanding what about giving of service to your country. So it's
I remember
really amazing.
back then was the yellow ribbons on the trees. Remember
yes,
that?
right, yes,
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah.
So it sounds like you guys have your hands full. This coming up, and we're going to be busy. And what we want to do is encourage veterans that have served prior to 1976 to give these people a call. Check it out. Might be you're not too young to go.
Give us a call soon, please.
Yes, soon.
Not
Yeah.
at the last minute.
You'll be just tagging along, But no, it's a great thing to do. I think it's even the people that help out and the guardians probably get as much out of it as the people that are going as the veterans.
We have a really great relationship for our Harrisonburg trip. The JMU ROTC cadets serve as our guardians. So that's great because they can learn from the veterans, and the veterans get to share their history with them. It's a great relationship.
Well, it's a moving experience to go to Washington, D.C., stand on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, go to the Iwo Jima, go to the Arlington Cemetery, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. That's just as moving.
It is.
Just thinking about it is giving me
Right.
emotional on it. So we better cut this off before I start crying. Again, thanks so much for coming and letting us know about your trip. We will publicize it as much as we can. And again, thank you so much. All
Thank
right?
you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure, Mike. Thank you.